Members, it is about time to make a start. We have attained the quorum. Item number 1, confirmation of the minutes of the 23rd meeting held on May the 8th, and minutes have been made available. Can I take them as confirmed? Matters arising, there is nothing to report on these. Business arising from previous council meetings, Legal Service Division report on bills referred to the House in accordance with Rule 54.4. Legal advisor, please. Chairman. The bill is Bankruptcy Amendment Bill 2015. Chairman, the bill seeks to make amendment regarding the relevant period. Normally the period is 4 to 5 years, and there can be a suspension of the period when the bankrupt is out of Hong Kong. The Court of Final Appeal made a ruling. Subsequently, the government conducted a review, and therefore there are some amendments there. For this suspension period, there will be a role to be played by the court. Chairman, on May the 5th, the panel on financial affairs was consulted, and members had no objection to the administration introducing the legislative proposals into the council, but made inquiries about certain aspects of the proposal. The Legal Service Division is seeking clarification on the policy objective of the bill as to in view of the importance of the proposal on the discharge of a bankrupt from bankruptcy and inquiries raised by panel members. Members may wish to set with Bills Committee. Bills Committee. Mr. Albert Ho proposes a Bills Committee. Who would like to join the committee? There will be further circulation by the Secretariat. Further business for the Council meeting of May the 20th, tabling of papers, report number 20/1415 of the House Committee on consideration of subsidiary legislation and other instruments. The deadline for amendment is May the 20th. The import and export of strategic products amendment regulation. No members would like to speak on this item. Request for special leave of the Council to give evidence of the Council proceedings. Request made under Section 7 of the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance Cap 382 and Rule 90 of the Rules of Procedure for special leave of the Council to give evidence of Council proceedings. Y.S. Lau and Partners, under the Powers and Privileges Ordinance, seek leave from the Council for 3 members of the staff to testify in court. On the 24th of May, 27th of May, there are 20 questions, bills, first reading and moving on second reading. Special holiday, 3rd of September 2015 bill. No government motion has been notified. Members' motions, I've mentioned that last time. We have to wait until we are done with the appropriation bill before we proceed to lot drawing. There is a subsidiary legislation list table before members. For members who wish to speak, please notify the Secretary on May the 19th. The Chief Executive question and answer session on May the 28th. It will take place between 9:15 and 10:45 a.m. Reports of bills, committees, and subcommittees. report of the Subcommittee on Members' Remuneration and Operating Expenses Reimbursement on the review of members' remuneration and operating expenses reimbursement. Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, thank you. Chairman, over the years, the subcommittee has been going on. What we're doing is in relation to the remuneration and operating expenses reimbursement, or OER, for the next term. We're grateful to the Secretariat for conducting a survey seeking views from all members. We issued the questionnaires to 70 members, but only 41 members responded to the survey. In addition to members, the Councillors Workers Association also made submission to all members regarding remuneration and OER. At this meeting on Tuesday, some members asked about the background of the association. After the meeting, the Secretariat got in touch with the association and understood that the association was set up in 2001 and indeed has previously made submissions to the subcommittee on 2 occasions on OER, namely 2010 and 2012. The association said they will not be making any further submissions in writing. After analyzing the submissions and views, the subcommittee has prepared a report detailing the findings of the survey and its recommendations for submission to the House Committee. I hope that members will take note of the report and agree to submit the report to the administration for consideration. The survey findings are set out in parts 2 and 3 of the report. According to the survey results, the 10 recommendations received the agreement of 41 members who responded to the survey, representing majority support. The first recommendation concerns the arrangement for long service payment and severance payment made in the middle of a term, and the remaining 9 recommendations are outstanding ones. At that time, the administration refused to take these on board, and they are outstanding items from the previous terms. These include pegging the remuneration of certain posts in members' offices to those of the civil service, end of service gratuity to members' full-time staff, and a new accountable allowance to enable members to engage outside parties to conduct research. Subject to House Committee's endorsement, the subcommittee will forward this report to the administration for consideration by the Independent Commission. And the subcommittee will also meet the Commission to follow up on the recommendations that I mentioned. Chairman, we're dealing with the remuneration for the next term, those elected in September next year. If we cannot get it done in time, then we will be making no progress. So I'm wondering whether members would be prepared to support this. All right, I hope the members will take note of the report and give their agreement to forward the report to the administration for consideration by the Independent Commission. Agreeable? No objection. All right then. Report of the Subcommittee on Legally Assessment of Resources Contribution, Amendment Regulation 2015.
Subcommittee has completed the scrutiny of the Legal Aid Assessment of Resources and Contributions Amendment Regulation 2015, which seeks to revive the bandwidths of assessed financial resources of aided persons in relation to the contributions payable under the ordinary legal aid scheme, so that the bandwidths would be represented as percentages of the financial eligibility limit of the scheme rather than the current absolute figures, and a more even distribution of bandwidths could be maintained. The proposed amendments will also avoid the need for regular legislative amendments in future. The subcommittee notes that under the proposal, the number of aided persons who do not need to pay any contribution will increase as the threshold of assessed financial resources, which contributions begin to be payable, will be raised from not exceeding $20,000 to not exceeding $33,702.50. If the aided persons need to pay a contribution, most of their contribution amounts would be lower than, or at the most be at the same, at what they have to pay under the existing scale of the contribution rates. The subcommittee does not object to the amendment regulation, which will come into operation on the 17th of June 2015. The subcommittee will submit a written report on the deliberations of the amendment regulation to the House Committee next week. Thank you.
法案委員
There are 13 bills committees that are currently in action. There are 7 subcommittees under the House and 9 subcommittees under the panel. There are 3 on the waiting list. Proposal for the appointment of a subcommittee under the House Committee to follow up on issues relating to the 3-runway system at Hong Kong International Airport. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, Chairman. On the 27th of May, we held a joint meeting. I am speaking in my capacity as chairman of the joint committee. We urge for a subcommittee to be formed to look into the 3-runway system, and all the timetable and details are set out in the paper, and the recommendations include the views expressed by members. I hope the members will support the idea of setting up a subcommittee under the House, and we hope that this will be given top priority on the waiting list. Okay, do you all agree that subcommittee be formed under the House? And paragraphs 5 to 8, the proposed terms of reference, the work plan and the timetable, do you all agree with the details there? Objection? Mr. Tony J. Chairman, I am supportive of the subcommittee myself, but as regards the terms of reference, I do have some views to express. I'm sure we're all concerned about the costing of the 3rd runway. It will cost more than $140 billion. As councillors, I think we have to be concerned about it. Does the government have to shoulder this amount of money? It is said that 2014-15 through to 2023-24, the government is going to forego the dividends, and the dividends will be plowed into the construction of the 3rd runway. And the receipts, the proceeds of the airport will also go into the 3rd runway. So the costing will include that. Now, there is a mention of the feasibility study and also the financial arrangement. However, I think that the costing of the 3rd runway is something of utmost concern to the members of the public. We have to highlight this. Thank you. A couple of members, 2 minutes each, please. Mr. Dennis Kwok, Chairman, thank you. Chairman, I'd like to take this opportunity to address the questions raised by Mr. Tony J. At the EDP, I raised this motion, and indeed I have included the costing element. There was a very heated debate over how the $140 billion is going to come about. The government has not told us whether this represents a conservative estimate or not. Once the subcommittee is up and running, we certainly will follow up on the costing. If you look at the terms of reference of the subcommittee, it refers to the feasibility of the 3rd runway. Now, all the questions that you raised, I'm sure that the subcommittee will have the remit to deal with them. If you feel that the terms of reference is not sufficiently broad, you're welcome to give your input as to how these can be broadened.
Ms. Emily Lau. Mr. Chairman, of course, it is a very controversial item. However, I think one of the issues will not be controversial. That is, the Legislative Council should have the opportunity to vote on the matter to indicate whether we support or not. However, from the proposed terms of reference, I don't think I have any queries about the proposed terms of reference. I'm sure the subcommittee will submit a report and it will be debated by the Council. But I think it should be clearly spelled out that we should give an opportunity to the full Council, having read the report, indicate whether we support or object to the project. Because the other day when Professor Zheng came, I asked him a question. The administration could have proposed a motion or a resolution, whether it is legally binding. The government should do this so as to show its respect towards the LegCo. They are not coming to the LegCo to ask the FC for money. Now, for the subcommittee, I think having read the report, I think members should be given a chance to indicate the position. So I wonder if the chair of the subcommittee should be tasked to move a motion debate, say, for example, inviting members to note the report and indicate whether they support or not. I wonder if anybody can answer this question. No, I don't think so. No one can answer your question. Well, I have raised this point, so please have it included unless somebody is objecting to this. I think it's a matter of empowering the LegCo to indicate our position. I think this is the best time to put forward this proposal. Mr. Ho, of course, I support the setting up of the subcommittee. When you have a meeting with the CS4A, please make it clear to her that when the government and the Hong Kong AA are invited to give information to us, they should be as cooperative as possible. They shouldn't be releasing the information bit by bit and only upon pressure from us. Just now we've been told that this one will be given priority ranking in terms of the queuing up of the subcommittees to be set up. But when will it be established? We will be ending our term next year in July. Now, I just wonder if we can start early in the summer holiday. If I may try to answer this question, according to the Secretariat, there are two subcommittees on policy issues. That is the public markets as well as the hawkers policy subcommittees will be finishing the work in September and October, respectively. So it is believed that towards the end of September or in the beginning of October, we are able to start the work. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, it's difficult for me to decide whether to support or not. Now, for the budget this year, provision has already been made. But of course, I don't know whether anybody will be vetoing the budget. The Council will have already given consent to waive the payment of dividend. Of course, the FS won't tell us what will happen in future years. And then for the ESC, I think we are being approached to give money to create 3 posts so as to continue to 3 posts for the 3-1-way system. So it's like having married or having signed a contract. So what more can we do? Now, there is a need for filibustering. This is because if we have given money to create 3 posts, what sort of bargaining power do we have? If the government hasn't got the money, then no one will be recruited, and then the government will be obedient, and the government will tell us more. So it's not a matter of stopping them, Dennis Kwok. They can choose not to give an answer at a meeting. So I'm still undecided. So it's better for us to block the request at the ESC meeting. They don't get the money, and then they have to be accountable. Members, for the XRL, we have discussed it for a long time. And at the FC meetings, we failed to filibuster because we didn't know how to do it, and there was no way to do it because it was not a resolution. Now, here we are talking about $145 billion. We are all seated here. What do you think? Leung Kwok Hong, your time is up. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the proposal before us. The Economic Services Panel, as well as the the Environmental Affairs Panel, have had a meetings on its own and jointly, respectively. We would like to see the work being started as soon as possible. We are interested in the progress, and as Tony Chair has said, we are interested in the construction costs, and we are interested in the timetable. So the subcommittee isn't really about whether we want the third runway. So I just want to make it clear. On a number of occasions, what we discussed was for the third runway. In the course of building the third runway, we want to know more about the cost, the timetable, as well as the environmental protection aspect that requires our monitoring. And we believe that it is right for the LegCo to play a monitoring role. So I just want to be clear about the scope of the work. Mr. Kenneth Leung, let me clarify. As the chair of the ESC, the THB, in relation to the chief engineer's post and 2 other posts, 3 posts have been set out in our ESC paper, and they would like to renew the term of the 3 posts. If the ESC doesn't approve that paper, well, it is to be built by the airport authority. Whether we have got the 3 office holders to monitor the AA, the construction will still go ahead. So I just want to clarify this point as to its impact on the 3RS. As to the scope of work of the subcommittee, I believe that we should consider expanding the scope. I support the early establishment of the subcommittee. Mr. Chairman, you said that perhaps we'll have to wait for 2 existing subcommittees to finish their work before we start the work of this one. I think it would be a bit too late. Thank you. Albert Chan. Mr. Chairman, times have changed. In the 1990s, the British Hong Kong government would like to launch the PES project. At that time, Beijing government was worried that the British government would be spending all the money. And so at that time, the Chinese government had a lot of questions about the financial arrangements. The leftists as well as the pro-China members were very concerned, and so many committees were set up. At that time, we know that there was a committee concerning the new airport. And if I remember correctly, the LegCo also set up a committee looking into the PES project. Many meetings were called, and then we were given volumes of papers explaining about the design, among other things. Now, for the pro-establishment camp, for the 3RS, it is going to cost us $140 billion, and they have a different attitude. It seems that they don't mind if the money will go down the drain, just like what has happened to the link REIT, what has happened to the XRL. Now, James Tian is here. I think you recall that you took part in that political matter. And of course, Pan-Democrats are here, and at that time, Pan-Democrats also gave a lot of suggestions to the government. So I hope the Secretariat will get some information for us, telling us what happened when we set up a committee to oversee the ACP If they're interested, please give them their links. And also please refer the reports to us. For the airport railway, I think just for the airport railway itself, there were 3 volumes of work, best case scenario, etc., as well as the capital needed. Can the Secretariat give us information for our reference so that everybody knows about our previous position? Your time is up, Mr. Chen. Li Cheh-yen, let me clarify. Let me ask Mr. Lam to clarify. He said that it's not about whether to build it or not. I think it is about whether to build it or not because it's about the feasibility. And feasibility will also, of course, cover cost effectiveness and cost benefits. You can always build an airport, a runway on the moon. But it's a matter of whether it is worth the while, whether it is cost-effective. And what about the air wall? What about airspace management? Whether we're going to increase the number of air movements. Now, $140 billion, is it really value for money? It's really a white elephant. It's outrageous. Of course, I know. The worst thing is that. And I'm worried that we can be talking and that the government will simply go ahead irrespective of our meetings. By the time we finish our scrutiny, I think it will be fait accompli and there's no going back. That worries me most. And it appears to me that the government has no sincerity to come back to secure the support of the subcommittee before going ahead. Therefore, I agree very much with Emily Lau. That is, at the end of the day, the subcommittee should vote on the matter. That is, whether we should agree to the building of the 3rd runway. I think at the very first meeting, we should secure the government's undertaking that the government won't go ahead and the government will await the outcome of our discussion. If it is found that it's not feasible, then the government shouldn't go ahead. So to me, the scope of work will cover whether to do it or not. And at the very first meeting, the government should be made to undertake that the LegCo's agreement will be crucial. Dr. K.K. Kwok, it seems that Mr. Jeffrey Lam isn't following what has been settled clearly in the HC paper. Well, we are clear that the subcommittee will look into the feasibility. If it is not feasible, it shouldn't be built and it won't be built. As Tony Che has said, we should look at the financial arrangements. $140 billion. Can we recover the cost? What about the financial projection? So on the 8th of May, the Town Planning Board has already gazetted the notice, and in 2 months' time it has to be done. It is clear that the government would like to jump the queue. They would like to jump the gun. And it seems that we have only got a slot in October. And we have to finish our term in July. So clearly time is running out. Is it possible that in May or in June we try to expedite our work and increase our manpower so that we can do it? This is quite unlike other subcommittees. It is not comparable to others. Of course, I know our secretary's staff would be very busy. So SG, please confirm whether you're going to do this. And please also talk to the CS4A. Now, a subcommittee of the LegCo hasn't yet established the feasibility. And if the government is to go ahead, the government is destroying the relationship between the executive and the legislature. Well, many subcommittees have been set up and they are working on their terms of reference. If you want to start early, then finish off some of the subcommittee's work and then the Secretariat will have spare manpower to start new ones. So please finish up with your filibustering. SG? Let the SG answer. I'm trying to answer the question on his behalf. How come that you are answering on his behalf? It's outrageous. You took up my time. I protest. You took up your time and you don't allow him to speak. I will deal with it. I will handle it. Mr. Gary Chen, I agree with what Mr. Jeffrey Lam has said because the other day when there was the joint panel meeting, many members made it very clear That is, they are in support of the construction of the third runway.
And there are many areas that we have to monitor, like the financial arrangement, the environmental implications, and that's the reason why we have this paper in front of us. What we have to discuss today is whether we should set up a subcommittee to follow up on the feasibility and the financial arrangement of the third runway. It's not a question of whether we should go ahead with the 3RS. At the joint meeting, we said as much. Mr. Yu Siwing, Chairman, I made it very clear at the last meeting that in terms of the air wall, the financial arrangement, we should discuss them if we're coming back to the question of whether we should build the third runway. Then we're putting the cart before the horse. I think we have to stick to parent 6 of the paper. So I go along with Mr. Jeffrey Lam and Mr. Gary Chen. SG, are we care to respond to the questions? Chairman, there are 10 subcommittees relating to policies that are currently in action. We are limited by the manpower, and as we said last time, we made a report to the committee that the subcommittee on public markets and hawkers are entering into the extended period. If the 2 subcommittees can wrap up their work sooner, we can start with this committee sooner. But we're limited. We have limited power and manpower, Mr. Chairman. In paragraph 5, you mentioned to study and follow up the issues relating to the 3-runway system and the feasibility. I defer to my colleague. Chairman, at the joint meeting, when we talk about the feasibility, basically we're talking about the financial arrangement and the design details, instead of whether we should go ahead with the third runway. That was the consensus at the time, like the chairman said a few moments ago. There are 3 members, or 2 indeed, who are speaking for the second time, 1 minute each. 5, I draw a line there. Mr. Dennis Kwok, Chairman. The word feasibility, why do we raise this word? Let's say they're coming back to us to say that it's going to cost us not 140 billion, it's going to cost us 1,400 billion, and also there are problems with the air wall. Should we still get on with the construction? If you say we're putting the cart before the horse, I don't think we are. There are certainly members who will raise these questions, and it will be incumbent upon the administration to address this question. I don't think we should get bogged down on the semantics. We have to resolve all these issues, the air wall, the financial implications, whether the members of the public are in support of the 3RS. We have to address all these issues. So, Chairman, if the Secretariat can allocate the manpower for this to be done, it would be a good idea. Mr. Kwok Him, you just press the button. 2 minutes, please. Chairman, in the course of discussion, members focus their attention on the monitoring issue, the 3RS is dear to the heart of the people of Hong Kong. The councillors do have a role to play, so we are supportive of the setting of this subcommittee. Like Ms. Gary Chen said, we, DAB, are in support of this. The design, the financial arrangement, all these will have to be looked at. As to whether we can advance the work from the Secretariat's point of view, whether we can make the necessary adjustment to bring this forward, I think we have to look at the volume of work on the part of the Secretariat. If there are subcommittees that can wrap up the work sooner, then we will be able to have an opportunity for this to get off the ground. Dr. Kwokaki, Chairman, we appreciate the difficulties of the Secretariat. We are very concerned about the project. Let's have a look at the manpower of the Secretariat. I remember on one or two occasions, I can't quite remember when though, when we had special circumstances which warranted the 11th subcommittee. Did we have this scenario? SG, Chairman, if I may. No. It is in recent years, within this term, that we have 10 subcommittees. Previously, there were 8. I think previously we went beyond the ceiling. Now we have 10 that are currently in action. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, I raised the question of digging up the ACP papers for members' information, like the terms of reference. It's just like the constitutional reform. Even if we object to the project, we can still join the subcommittee. By joining the subcommittee, it doesn't mean that we support the project. Hong Kong is turning like a communist state, and we are forced into things. I believe you have feces foisted down your throat. Should we follow your example, we won't have any feces foisted down my throat. I know you like that, but we're not going to do it. Chairman, what about you? The chairman is talking about having feces down our throat. That's what you said, Chairman. Chairman, very simply, now we are going to spend $140 billion for this project, the Hong Kong to Hypercar Bridge and the Express Railway. The costs are nowhere near as much as this. We've been debating this on many occasions. I'm not sure why members don't think that we have already started it. I think we have to find out how we monitor the situation. Is it the case that the government is instructing the airport authority to do it, or is it the decision of the airport authority? I hope that the Secretariat will give us a reply. Is it the case that the AA proposes it and then the government has green-lighted it, or was it the case that the government instructed the AA to get on with it? We're not even sure about this element, and the whole council seems to be in support. There is no way we can monitor the Hong Kong Airport Authority. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, 2 minutes to wrap up, please. Chairman, I've made myself sufficiently clear. I've said that at different committee meetings I would have a fair amount of discussions. There are 2 points I'd like to clarify. Mr. Li Chao-yan said he would like to clarify my words. I don't think there is any room for clarification. I made it very clear, and I represented what members said at the meeting. Also, Mr. Kwok said that he would like to revise what I said. It is me who attended all the meetings all the time, and not all of them are there all the time. Whether we should build the runway, how should we monitor the project. Things are very clear, made very clear in the report. If members have any views regarding the discussions, you're welcome to do so, but I don't think you should say anything that is not based on facts. You have to talk about factual facts. Now you're always saying that people are calling a stag a horse. I think it is you this time around that are calling a stag a horse. As chairman of the joint panels, I hope the members will support the setting of this subcommittee under the House. All right then, let me put this to members. Do all agree that a subcommittee be formed under the House, and also it will be set up in accordance with the proposed TOR, the proposed work plan, and the time frame in paras 5 to 7. All agreeable? All right then. Who would like to join the subcommittee? There will be further circulation of invitation. Do you all agree that top priority will be given to this subcommittee on the waiting list? Any objection? No? All right. This will be prioritized over other subcommittees. There are no any other businesses. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.